Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa ating channel, O The Alteram Partem. Let us hear the other side. Salamat po sa Diyos, sa Panginoon at sa Espiritu Santo sa isa namang Facebook Live. At for info po, today is the second day of the confirmation charges versus Duterte doon po sa ICC. So mamayang antabay po tayo mamaya kung siguro mga 5:30 yon or 5 dahil muli po nating tunghayan at sundan po natin yung kasalukuyang confirmation charges doon sa ICC, pang second day na po. At mas maigi po para makita natin na yung hustisya doon sa ICC ay talaga nga bang hustisya din. At kahapon atin pong nasaksihan yung prosecution tsaka yung defense at nagpalitan po sila ng kanilang mga tinatawag na mga kwento. Sabi nga ni John Quincy Adams, the 4th President of the United States of America, kung sino daw yung may pinakamagaling na kwento sa korte, dapat yun talagang ilatag mo iyon. So kahapon nakitaan natin doon sa prosecution, sa parte ng prosecution in particular, talaga hong nakakahanga. Talaga naman yung sabi nga ni lead counsel ng defense na si Nicholas Kaufman, cherry picking. Opo, ganun ho. Ganun katindi. Kasi kahapon nakitaan doon pati ho yung pagtakbo ba ni Vice President Sara Duterte para po sa pagka-presidente para po sa 2028, this coming 2028, ay binanggit na rin ho. Hindi ko naintindihan anong relation noon. Grabe talaga. So ganun ho talaga na ang tindi ng pamumulitika ho. Confirmation charges dapat focus ka doon sa confirmation charges, hindi yung sa narrative. Sa narrative, sa kwento, sa para masabi mo na rin na parang smear campaign na rin yun para sirain yung reputasyon ho ng tao na hindi naman tuon involved sa ICC, tulad yan in particular kay Vice President Sara Duterte na nagsabi na tatakbo siyang bilang Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas this coming 2028. So ganun ho katindi. Bagaman meron hong rebuttal doon yung lead counsel ng defense na si Attorney Kaufman. At titingnan ko yung isang may mga nabanggit siya, maganda hong mga pinagsasabi nito ni Kaufman, kaso lang napakahaba ho hindi ho magkasya dito sa aking comment. Magi-error Opo. Ano ba ang closing? Puntahan ko muna doon yung closing remarks ni Kaufman kasi napakarami nito. Umabot ho almost ng mga 25 minutes yung speech niya, yung delivery niya doon sa ICC ni Attorney Kaufman. Grabe ang haba. At kanina hinahanapan ko po ng mga video na kung saan yung kompleto ba na delivery niya, at may nakita naman ako pero yung sa iba putol-putol ho. May mga putol-putol. So bahala na kayo diyan sa na-post ko naman yung mga sources niyan. At to kasi ano siya yung along those lines sa depensa ho, sa prosecution, may mga binabanggit sila doon base doon sa mga statement ni Mayor Duterte nung kasalukuyang siya ay presidente. Ito naman yung nirebat ni ni Kaufman. Binasa niya yung portion doon ng statement ni President Mayor Duterte nung siya po ay isang presidente pa. Ito po ang kanyang sinabi sa isang statement ni President Duterte. Do your job and you will have the unwavering support of the office of the President. I will be with you all the way. Abuse your authority and there will be hell to pay. For you will have become worse than criminality itself. Unquote. Yan ang hinighlight ni Lead Counsel Kaufman, at nagpatuloy siya nung sinabi niya na, there you are. You have it straight in your face. Exonerating evidence within what is claimed to be the prosecution's incriminating evidence. Ganun ho. Ganun pala ang style ng hearing doon sa sa ICC. Dito sa Pilipinas, ang pagkakaalam ko, presentation of evidence, tapos yan yung sa prosecution muna, mga ilang hearing yan, tapos bandang uli sa defense na Meron at least yata mga 4 na, I think mga 4 or 6 sessions kung saan yung presentation of evidence, tapos sa prosecution, meron question and answer, tapos meron naman sa defense. Ganun yata yun ang pagkaalam ko dito. Mga at least mga 4 to 6 hearings po. Pero sa ICC pala ay the same time pwede pala magsalita rin doon yung defense. So ang galing ho ng sinabi ni Kaufman. I won't take up my time by showing you the second speech, but there is one. If I have time at the end, I will show it to you. If you add to that other 10 speeches out of the 20 speeches on which the prosecution relies in its documents containing the charges, and since we are in court of law and we rely on evidences, what is the evidence produced of the speeches? 20 of them, 10 of them I submit, and we will show this in the substantive part of our submissions contain exonerating evidence which support the defense case theory. In other words, if you add the 10 which we have identified in the prosecutions, 20 to our total of 35, we come to 45 speeches versus 10 which we say support the use of force only in self-defense. Ganon po ang sinabi ni Kaufman. Mahaba ito actually pero puntahan natin yung sa beginning ng kanyang ng depensa. Ito ang haba Ahaba. Naipost ko naman diyan at kasi kanina nawala bigla yung tinitingnan ko doon kasi may nakita akong nagpost din ng comment. Hinahanap ko, nawala bigla nung nagse-search na ako sa YouTube. Pagbalik ko sa Facebook, nawala. Ewan ko ba ba't nawala. Swerte naman at na-copy-paste ko. Tapos hinanapan ko ng video. Yun na nga na nakita ko rin naman. At syempre pinost ko doon. Kasi kung gusto mo halimbawa verbatim video audio, isusulat mo ng ganon, pwede naman at least meron na ditong nauna at least sundan mo. Ito. Nung magsalita siya, itong sabi niya ni Kaufman, speech niya. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Your Honors. And I thank Mr. Butuyan for his intervention, but I feel that I ought to remind him that this is a court of law, which decide matters on the basis of evidences, not on the basis of political demagoguery, and not on the basis of a desire to affect regime change, and certainly not on the basis of statements made by Ombudsman Jesus Crispin Remulla, who professed that domestic justice would be denied, according to Mr. Butuyan, because of the lack of forensic reports and police reports. Now I don't know which case Mr. Butuyan's metaphorical ship sailed into, but he clearly hasn't read the evidence. Whilst he was speaking, we examined the evidence, and out of that evidence we found at least 35 reports substantiating 49 of the incidents which are mentioned in the document containing the charges. Grabe ho, talagang basagan agad ng basagan agad ng argumento ba. Ganun ho. Ganun pala doon sa style ng ICC, no? Ganun pala, basagan ka agad. Tuloy niya. Your Honors, Rodrigo Duterte was and will always remain a unique phenomenon. His style of statesmanship was novel and unpalatable to many. His expletives and hyperbole grated, while his honesty and with popularity or wild popularity irritated. He spoke openly from the heart, sincerely and truthfully. And what a contrast between him and his successor. His successor in Malacanang for President Rudy Rodriguez, for President Rudy, his word was his word, and the people knew it. For President Bongbong Marcos, his word is for the wind, and the people will not forget it. Let me remind you, everyone, of the letter which President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signed. It's on the screen, and in which he gave a cast icon undertaking that his government, and I quote, will not assist the ICC in any way, shape, or form, unquote. Well, as we know, he failed to keep the promise. Rodrigo Duterte was unconstitutionally and unceremoniously hauled off to The Hague, and when called upon to defend his master's actions and the said letter at a Senate committee hearing, the then Secretary for Justice, once again, Mr. Jesus Crispin Rimulya, persisted with the same dishonest theme. And I quote his word, "We did not assist the ICC. We continue with the tenor of the letter that we did not assist the ICC and we did not have any contact with them," unquote. So he said, but when a document emanating from the prosecution team opposite and disclosed to us as a mere week ago, not as information material to the preparation of our defense, but as exonerating evidence, we can now substantiate that we have suspected for a long time. Ganun ho pala. Natanggapan naman sila ng nakatanggap naman pala sila ng letter galing doon sa prosecution a week ago. So maganda, at least naging ebidensya din nila iyon. Mabait din yung yung prosecution binigyan nila ng document din yung depensa, kasi ganun talaga sa korte. Pagka nag-provide ka ng mga, kasi the burden of proof again, the burden of proof na sa prosecution po, kailangan patunayan nila based dun sa mga ebidensya na inilatag nila dun sa ICC na si Duterte talaga ay guilty. Guilty po. Siyempre nakakuha sila a week ago kasi presentation na yan At salamat nga dahil naging ebidensya pa iyon. So ang gagaling nila baka siguro may mga palisiya doon sa ICC na isubmit mo ng maaga yung mga documents mo para bang, hindi ko masabi kasi ang sabi dito ni Kaufman, according sa kanya nung sinabi niya rito sa ICC sa hearing, natanggap nila a week ago. And exonerating daw yung mga natanggap nila mga documents galing doon mismo sa prosecution. So I don't know kung ano yung rules doon sa rules of court doon sa Hague, sa ICC when it comes doon sa rules on evidence. Hindi ko alam Pero nakakatuwa naman ito kasi binigyan sila, again sabi niya a week ago binigyan sila. So tuloy natin. The documents comprises a transcript of a telephone call covertly recorded between 4 parties who cannot be mentioned in public. One of these parties was boasting about how he was acting as the silent partner of President PBBM, managing a scheme to funnel witnesses to this court, while all the time ensuring that he could guarantee President BBM plausible deniability. So it is indeed the defense case that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. set out to neutralize Rodrigo Duterte and his legacy. Yes, Mr. Deputy Prosecution, I use that legendary word, neutralize. So central and so essential to your case theory, because you know just as well as me that I'm using the term metaphorically. And now I turn to the substance of the charges. But before I do, a word or two about the geopolitical context. The scourge of illegal narcotics is not unique to the Philippines. As we all know, it afflicts Latin America, where I can name 3 countries where the death rate at the hands of vigilantes and law enforcement agents per capita population is higher than it ever was under Duterte. And as you should know, and you will hear from the prosecution at any rate, the Philippines as a country is uniquely positioned to act as a transit hub for the trafficking of narcotics emanating from cartels in China, and with or without Duterte, so we argue, the death rate would have kept on rising. Indeed, as we will prove with statistics and reports, the death rate flowing from narcotics-related crime actually increased after Rodrigo Duterte left power, and where I ask you, has the International Criminal Court been seeing anything? Galing ho ng lead counsel, no? Talagang very diplomatic ho siya, very very humble, with humility, pero talagang sinasite niya doon yung lapses din ng ICC, no? Na sana man lang, siyempre, parang sampal sa kanila ito sa speech niya, unceremoniously na hold daw si Duterte, dinala sa Hague. Siyempre yan yung mga diplomatic way of, ibig sabihin, ano ba ito? Yung aesthetic ba? The aesthetic way of rebuking, an aesthetic way of rebuking the ICC. Kasi may lapses talaga sila Opo. At pinapakita ni Kaufman doon sa kanyang delivery o sa kanyang statement na purely ang ginawa kay Duterte is political in nature. Opo. Political po. Kasi nga, bagaman mo umalis na nga siya sa opisina, pero tumaas pa rin yung krimen At merong mga bansa na kung saan, doon sa Latin America, 3 bansa, na ang mga namatay sa kamay ng mga vigilante at saka mga sa law enforcement, sobrang taas compared mo kay Duterte. Opo. Nung siya ay nanunungkulan. So tuloy ko lang. The totally lawful Duterte campaign against illegal drugs and their suppliers took place when his administration was after the declaration of martial law. It was on that significant day that Rodrigo Duterte was exposed to tyranny, oppression, and the abuse of power by the elite. And he took a decision on that day. He chose to devote himself to a life of selfless public servant. As a professor at the local police academy and as a public prosecutor in Davao, Rodrigo Duterte developed a lifelong passion, some would say an enduring obsession for law and order, something which he unapologetically enforced throughout his time as mayor of Davao. Not, as the prosecution says, though, sowing murder and mayhem, but through winning the love, respect, and admiration of his fellow citizens. The very same citizens who continued to re-elect him time after time, term after term, on no less than 7 occasions over more than 2 decades. Throughout his 20 or so years tenure as the mayor of Davao, Rodrigo Duterte and his family transformed that city from an outpost of communist insurgency and criminal violence into what is now one of the safest city in the entire world. This was indeed the so-called Davao model, which the prosecution wants to persuade you as code for unbridled criminal violence. Grabe yung pangwasak dito ni Kaufman sa kanya, no? Facts versus narrative, yan ang mabigat eh. Yan ang mabigat. Sabihin mo na masamang tao si Duterte, meron siyang patunay. Tingnan mo naman yung Davao. Ang criminality doon talagang one of the safest cities na nga in the world, not in the Philippines, in the world. Tapos sabihin mo na criminal siya. Grabe ho, wasak kaagad dito ang prosecution. Nawasak ko. Kasi sa kanila narrative, puro hearsay, puro blah blah blah. Ganon yun eh. Sabi nga the burden of proof na sa prosecution kasi sila ang nagdala ng kaso na to. Later mababasa natin ito dito. Okay, good afternoon classmates. Sana hindi ka mapolitika ha. Sana hindi ka mapolitika, kakapanood mo dito sa akin. Shoutout sa iyo sa kay Jess Repiso. Good luck and God bless sa pamilya mo, sa karir mo. So tuloy natin. So grabe yung pagwasak dito ni Kaufman sa defense sa prosecution, no? Sa kanila rhetoric, narrative, kwento, politics. Hindi ho ganun, hindi mo makukuha yung ganyan. Ebidensya ho dyan eh. Facts eh. Undeniable facts eh. So tuloy natin. This was the type of leader that the Filipino nation wanted in 2016. So Rodrigo Duterte was elected into power not in spite of, but specifically because of his firm and uncompromising commitment to upholding law and order. After his election as president, Rodrigo Duterte remained a man of the people without seeking to patronize the people. Gung-ho in his ways and with a belligerent tone, he spoke the tough tongue to the street, not the disassembling discourse of international diplomacy. He said that what the people wanted to hear, but he said it in a way that offended the sensibilities of the world leaders, unaccustomed to hearing it. One in particular that was set him on the slippery slope to a prison cell in The Hague. Minura niya kasi pati yung Hague eh, no? Tinawag niya kayo lang bang genius? Isa pa yan doon, liban sa minura, genius din siya eh. Saan ka naman makakita na i-threat mo yung criminals makasuhan ka? Sino bang tinitreat mo? Kasi law enforcer ka. Tulad yan, chief executive siya. Presidente siya. I-threat mo, i-warningan mo yung criminal, kaso ka kaagad. Napakamali yun. Walang ganun. Walang ganung batas. Ano sabihin mo, grave threats? Kasi nagbitaw ka ng salita tapos wala ka naman hong nasabi kung sino in particular. Kumbaga, open open parenthesis yun eh. Sinong ilagay mo doon? Wala naman kayo na-identify. Kaya kasi sa ebidensya sa criminal, sa crimes, sabi nga ni Duterte, guilt is personal. Pwede ba yung pinatay kung sino dyan, isisi mo na lang sa kanya? Napakamali nun. Pero kung ganun man yung gagawin mo, syempre, you have to provide the evidence, the burden of proof na sa sayo na ikaw yung nagbibintang. Eh, paano mo ibintang si Duterte? Siya ba nagbarel? Lahat ba nang nautusan doon? Mga pinatay, ganyan? Mahirapan ho sila dyan. Ganun ho. Hindi ho ganun iyan. Na dahil ang ganda ng kwento ng prosecution, eh, makinig na lang kaagad yung justisya. Hindi ho ganun. Tuloy natin. Let me tell you how it works. It starts with the media controlled by the powerful and politically influential. Bago ko ituloy, teka. Kaya nga dito, mga kababayan ko, nung may TV pa kami rito, no, hindi ko pa tinapon yung TV. Maalala ko, tumawag ako sa isang radio station, opo, sa TV station pala. May binanggit doon si Duterte, kaso lang ang ginawa nila doon, kinonstru nila. Ibig sabihin, kinonstru, ininterpret. Opo. Hindi lang nila ininterpret, kumbaga dinagdagan nila ng salita. Doon sa phrase ni Duterte, may nilagay silang dagdag doon. At the same time, ininterpret nila kasi nagkaroon ho ng dagdag doon na salita. So therefore, nagkaroon ng ibang meaning, nagkaroon ng ibang kahulugan. So nakalimutan ko na iyon. Pero dinebate ko ho doon yung yung host. Eh, hindi ko na lang banggitin kung anong TV station yun. Baka paginitan ako lalo eh. Parang nagusot yung mukha niya sa laki ng katawan niya. Nakasalamin pa. Ang galing niyo magsalita. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ganun ba? Talagang well modulated eh. Laki pa naman ng katawan. Sabi ko ano yan eh. Yung hindi naman kako ganyan yung sinabi niya. Construing. Construing ho iyan. So ganun ho ang nangyari dito kay Duterte. Sabi nga ni Kaufman. May galawan talaga yung mga oligarchs dito, yung the powerful media. At isa ho dyan sa sinasabing powerful media, sinabi ho iyan ni 37 photos si Richard Milhous Nixon. Sinabi ho yan ni Milhous Nixon, ni Richard Nixon noong 1970s na yung media ho, tinatawag niya media imperialism. Ganun no ka-powerful ang media eh. Opo. Kung talagang sirain kanila, media. Kasi ang lakas ng impluensya ng media. May background din po ako sa media. Way back 2008 ho, nag-seminar ako dyan sa Makati. Kaya naintindihan ko yung power ng media eh. Kaso lang, dahil nagkaroon ng mga offset or mga balancing power tulad nito, yung mga gaya namin, gaya ko, mga vloggers, gaya nito ng social media, at least aware ho tayo na hindi ho ganon yung mga kwento ng mga media. Kasi yung media, tandaan natin, hindi ko naman nila lahat, meron hong bayad. Binabayaran ho yan sila. So ito nga, sinabi nga ni Kaufman, ito sabi niya, let me tell you how it works. It starts with the media, controlled by the powerful and politically influential. With a sensational headline and a twisted editorial stunt, moguls sell their papers while promoting the partisan agenda of their backers in power. They highlight salacious content while ignoring context because that is what captivates the reader. So it was with Rodrigo Duterte, whose speeches were fertile fodder to his enemies and detractors. A man whose hyperbole, bluster, and rhetoric, once published, became a natural target for privately funded NGOs and human rights activists. A loose collective more commonly known as civil society. These people descended upon the Philippines to advance an agenda even more lacking in objectivity than that of the media, heavily funded by tycoons with even grander designs. Ganon ho talaga yung problema dito, yung tycoon, yung mga oligarchs. Ganon ho. Tawag-tawag lang yan, endorse lang, tapos ka. Tulad ako, indoors lang. Wala, wagtang. 10 months na ako ngayon. Talagang bigat eh. Opo, 10 months so, ang bigat. Lalo na, kung si Duterte nga, dating presidente, ganyan eh. Lalo na sa mga ultimo ngayon. Talagang magsasaparo tayo. Almost na tulad ako, masalita talaga ako nung panahon na si Duterte, nung March last year. Nagsalita talaga ako, sinight ko talaga yung sovereignty and jurisdiction. Wala talaga sa hulog talaga ang ICC. Sovereignty and jurisdiction lang. Well, ang sovereignty is the sole chief ruler ho ng isang bansa. Bakit kung sole chief ruler ng isang bansa yung sovereign niya, bakit pinaalis si Digong? Tapos sa jurisdiction pa siya. Kasi citizenship siya is Pilipino bakit siya ginanon? So therefore, makita natin na bagaman dating presidente yan, talaga hong inabuso na violate How much more tayong mga ultimo? Tuloy ko lang. They print glossy reports replete with iconic photographic images of grieving families and dead bodies in rain swept with nightmare crime scenes, illuminated with fluorescent glow. Images crafted to shock the conscience and sway emotions, and used by the prosecution even when they do not relate to the charges. Grabe pang wasak ni Kaufman sa prosecution, They gave their slick reports bold titles lifted straight out of a James Bond movie such as License to Kill. One shot to the head, you can die anytime, or simply, they just kill. The photographers are fitted with their shots exhibit as art all over the world. The brave journalists who act as their source with awards and Nobel Prizes, slowly but surely, their narrative becomes the sacred, unchangeable, unshakable truth. The pressure builds up. Academics in progressive left law faculty far away in the United States tweet their research and published articles pontificating about crimes against humanity, systematic attacks against the civilian population. They point their finger at one man alone and bandy about slogans such as accountability and the prevention of impunity. They gave gratuitous advice on what should be done. Sometimes academics who formerly worked alongside the prosecution of the International Criminal Court. So makita nyo talagang sinisira niya pati reputasyon ng mga abogado ng defense ng prosecution Talaga naman kawalang-yaan na lang kumbaga yung pagiging abogado mo or international lawyer in a sense. Nababayaran Bagaman nakita mo naman yung prosecution mo, yung ebidensya mo, yung the burden of proof mo talagang basta na lang Opo. So at least dito sarcastic man yung speech dito ni may halong sarcastic yung may halong sarcasm yung speech dito ni Kaufman. At least talagang nasisira yung prosecution. Kasi yung integridad ng isang international lawyer, tinamaan niya, sinapul niya. Opo, sinapul niya sa sinabi na iyon. So tuloy ko lang. Communications and complaints are filed and the rest, as they say, is history. In any event, we are not gathered here today to judge a man on the basis of his coarse attitude or vulgar language. This court has convened a confirmation hearing to verify whether substantial grounds exist to believe that Rodrigo Duterte, the people's president, together with various so-called co-perpetrators over the years of his governance, devised a criminal policy of wholesale and wanton murder. And since we are in a court of law, it is worth stressing, although I should not have to, cases are decided on the basis of evidence, not supposition, not rumor, not spicy gossip, and certainly not on the basis of political rhetoric and bluster. Because at the end of the day, were it not for those belligerent and controversial speeches, there would have been no impetus to bring the people's president to The Hague. Talaga hong winawasak niya talaga pati ho yung pagdala kay Duterte sa The Hague. Grabe ho. Ganun kagaling ang ano na ito, yung Defense Council na ito. Opo. When the prosecution's evidence is examined, I would ask you to keep an open mind and to question not just whether that evidence has been selectively presented, but whether there exists evidence which the prosecution has failed to produce. I say this with justifiable cause, particularly with respect to Duterte rhetoric, as we will prove during a substantive part of our submission. The notorious speeches on which the prosecution relies have been cherry-picked to suit its narrative while ignoring the many other speeches where the former president tempered his bombastic language by clear reference to the principle of lawful self-defense. We, the defense, have read as many of these speeches as we can find. In fact, in our office, we have a counter which ticks and ticks. Wherever we come across a speech which contradicts the prosecution murder theory, by reference to self-defense, we give a cheer and the counter goes up once more. Talagang tinrack record niya pala. Yun ang problema, no? Yun ang isang bagay. Pag halimbawa may ikaw ang prosecution, talagang dapat nakatago talaga mga ebidensya mo para pagdating sa korte doon, magulantang sila. Pero siyempre, isa-submit mo yan for evidence doon sa korte. No, mga exhibit, ganyan. Pag presentation ng evidence, talagang, ewan ko lang kung pwede kunin ng ano yan, ng defense, or siguro i-take note nila iyan. I-take note nila yan, pag-aaralan nila iyan. Pero ito siya, napag-aralan na nila napaghandaan talaga nila ito. Kasi si Kaufman talaga ano siguro talaga ito, batikan. Mamaya tingnan natin yung background to ni Kaufman, bakit ang galing niya talaga pagdating dito sa presentation pa lang. Binabasag niya talaga pati ang prosecution, pati yung paghuli kay Tatay Digong, pati yung depensa, yung prosecution ng mga ebidensya. Ganon ho. Pati yung reputasyon ng abogado talagang abogado ng prosecution talagang tinamaan niya, pinahagingan niya Tuloy ko lang. As these statistics stand as of today, in contrast to the 20 speeches on which the prosecution relies to prove incitement to kill, we have found 35 more which say the complete opposite. Let me give you 2 examples from the very speeches that the deputy prosecutor himself cited today. Let's refer first of all to the famous Pieta speech which the deputy prosecutor referred to. He quoted, "Those of you who are still sober, those who haven't tried illegal drugs, if you don't want to die or get hurt, don't rely on the priests, including human rights advocates. They won't be able to prevent death," unquote. But if you look further on in the very same speech, something which maybe the deputy prosecutor didn't do. This is what he had to say to our police officers and other officials. Etong sabi, quote, "Do your job and you will have the unwavering support of the office of the president. I will be with you all the way. Abuse your authority and there will be hell to pay. For you will have become worse than criminality itself, unquote. There you are. You have straight it in your face, the exonerating evidence within what is claimed to be the prosecution's incriminating evidence. I won't take up my time by showing you the second speech, but there is one. If I have time at the end, I will show it to you. If you add to that another 10 speeches out of the 20 speeches on which the prosecution relies in its documents containing the charges, and since we are in a court of law and we rely on evidences, what is the evidence produced of these speeches? 20 of them, 10 of them, I submit, and we will show this in... Nawala. Yung sinasabi ko nawala eh. Sarap na sana nawala pa. So ganun na lang o siguro muna. Diyan na lang magtatapos kasi since na i-post ko naman iyan, basahin nyo na lang ho sa mga follow up ko ng mga post. Hinanapan ko actually ng video iyon. Talagang medyo mahirap-hirap din kasi yung ibang mga video. So dahil bunga nga ng naglalag yung internet mismo doon sa ICC, nahirapan din ako maganap eh. So meron ho dyan. So help yourself na i-browse yung mga na-post ko po. Credit po yan sa mga owner, hindi naman po akin yan. So yun lang po yung speech ni yun po yung delivery, yung piece ng defense, yung lead counsel na si Nicholas Kaufman. So salamat po sa inyo sa patuloy nyo pang pagsusubaybay sa channel na ito. At pagpasensyahan nyo, hindi ko po mai-post dito eh yung 25 minute speech niya kasi nga haba eh, nag-i-error. So salamat po ng maraming salamat sa inyo sa patuloy niyong pagsusubaybay. Again, ito po ang inyong host, Jesus Sukgang Jr., Vox Populi, the voice of the people. Ang topic po natin refresher lang po sa speech ni Kaufman doon sa ICC on the confirmation of charges against Rodrigo Duterte po doon sa Hague. So hanggang dyan lang po muna. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Sa Diyos po ang karangalan, sa Panginoon at sa Espiritu Santo. Amen.